How do you break into the online course industry when you're not a big name? You're a no name with no following and no audience. You see that there's a $315 billion industry with people selling their knowledge, their expertise, and how to do things online. And that's going to be a $1 trillion industry here in 2028, and you want in on it, but you don't know how to sell your online course without that following. I'm going to share with you the exact same system that myself and 6,000 of my students have used to attract their ideal clients, get high ticket paydays, and start selling even when they don't have an audience. We're going to get into 3 pillars, and it starts right now. Howdy, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to sell your online course without a following in 2022. But here's the good news. This is evergreen. These 3 pillars that I'm going to show you, they are timeless. This is never going to change. This is not a quick marketing tactic. This is a everlasting principle that you're going to be able to use for all time. So let's dive into it. The 3 things that I want to teach you today is 1, how do you create your sales pipeline for your online course, the system that is turning them from prospects into buyers. Number 2, I want to show you how to generate leads, and I'm going to give you 3 systems that all complement each other that you can implement to bring people in different ways. It's going to grow your business so much faster and start to build that following so you never have this problem again. And finally, I'm going to give you a simple script that you can use to turn those leads into sales. So the first thing that you have to do when you don't have an audience yet and you want to start getting these sales for your online course is you need to have a sales pipeline. And what I mean by that is a single system that people can go from being a prospect to being a buyer. And they go through the same process every single time. So that way, over time, you can start to refine and improve that process. You don't want to leave it to chance. You don't want to just put content into the world or run ads or drive traffic or do whatever it is that you do to generate leads and then just leave it up to chance that you're going to sell them. You want to know that they're going to reach a certain point and go through a specific process that you can monitor and improve over time. Now, in order to do that, you need to understand how a sales pipeline works. So there's really 4 things that you need to know, and these I call them the 4 C's, okay? So the first C is content, and this is the stuff that you're putting out into the world. It's the way that you're finding new people, they're discovering you, that they're getting to know, like, and trust you because you are helping them before they've ever purchased from you. So content, very important part of the sales pipeline. The next piece is going to be conversations, and this, we're going to go in deep on this here in a second because conversations sell, and they are an essential part of your sales pipeline when you're just starting out and don't have that following. The third piece is conversion, and conversion just means how do we turn them from a prospect to a buyer? How do we turn them from a fan to a buyer? All right. It's the process of closing the deal and getting paid for what you have to offer after they've discovered you. And finally, you have coaching or fulfillment, right? This is once they hire you, how are you helping them? And this is usually happening inside of your online course. So those are the 4 pieces that we got to get into. And specifically today, we want to focus on the conversations and conversion piece, that piece of like, how do we take the traffic, bring them in and get them to sell? That's the main piece of the sales pipeline. Now, I just said a second ago that conversations equal sales. And this is a really important concept for you to grasp when you don't have an audience yet and you're trying to get into that online course space. And what I mean by that is conversations are the main way that you're going to create clients inside of your sales pipeline at first. I know that all the flashy automations and passive income and things that are associated with online courses is what you want. But right now, if you don't have a following, you probably don't have the traffic yet. And so you need to get in and have conversations because this is going to, 1, create sales for you, but also create traffic sources. So let's get into that. The first part is how do conversations create sales? And it's pretty simple. We're going to talk more about how you get the conversation started in a minute. But once you start having conversations with people in your industry, a lot of those people are going to be prospects. They're going to have a problem that you're able to help them with. And you want to talk to them and find out, like, where are they? Where do they want to go? And are you able to help them get from point A to point B? Because if you do, if your program fits and is the bridge between point A and point B for them, that's how sales happen. And so when you're talking to them, you're able to make it personal. You're able to find out what are their pains, their desires, their problems, their dreams, and really tailor your message to them. And by the end of it, you can give them a lot of clarity. You can help them, figure out what they want and how badly they want it. And it's going to make that sale a lot easier. This is also a great way for you to learn more about your ideal audience, what kind of people you do and don't want to work with, and get all of that stuff ready for the automations that are going to come later, okay? So the conversations are the sales mechanism or the conversion method that we're going to be using when we don't have a following. But they can also be an important traffic source. And that's why I said you want to have as many conversations as possible inside of your industry, because not every single person, if you do this right, that you talk to will be a prospect. But if you have the expertise and you're willing to have conversations and just help everybody with no expectation of return, it is going to come back to you tenfold. And sometimes you are going to talk to people in your industry that are going to become referral partners, or they're going to grow your network. And when I go back to like the early days of my business, I remember I would hop on a Zoom call with absolutely anybody. I spent a lot of time hanging out inside of Facebook groups. I would talk to a lot of people. And these days, many of those people that I talked to, some of them were people that maybe I was going on a call to learn from them, or I was trying to help them with something, but they weren't necessarily my ideal clients. They've become incredible friends of mine, or they've opened massive opportunities for me by introducing me to clients or introducing me to other people that then became traffic sources that then started sending me leads that I could sell into my program. And so this conversation strategy is important because it is how you're selling, but it's also how you start building your following and your audience, and it's going to grow your network. And at the end of the day, your goal should just be able to help as many people as possible in any way you can, because that's the secret to networking, really, and one of the secrets to organically building your following. It's not about what you can get. It's taking your knowledge, this thing that you've been blessed with, and sharing it with the world, because the more people you help, the more opportunities that come up. And people, when you help people, they want to give back. They want to introduce you to your friends. If you're like, I'm just going to use this example since I have the Facebook ads agency. Like, I was the Facebook guy for course creators and for growing your email list and those kind of things. And so when I would talk to somebody and help them, they wanted to introduce their friends to their Facebook guy. And so I got a lot of introductions just by helping them, that then those people became clients. Those people ended up joining my programs. And that's one of the things you want to create. In this part of the video, I want to talk to you about 3 methods that you can start generating leads. That way you can have these conversations and get sales. Now, the first one I've touched on a little bit, and it's called the group method. And this is how I got my start. It's how I built my agency. It's how I built my first coaching business. And it's one of the main methods that thousands of my students have used to build up their businesses. All right. So I'm really excited about this one. And the whole idea is that you're going to go out and find groups on Facebook that your ideal client hangs out in. And you're just going to live in that space. And you're going to answer questions, and you're going to provide value, and it's going to generate prospects. And this is really cool, and I'm going to talk to you about how this can snowball and become passive here in a second. But I want to start by walking you through, like, what are the things you need to do to really make this shine. And the first thing is you need to optimize your Facebook profile, okay? So you've done this before, so you're going to understand this. Like, when somebody's talking to you and they're helping you, or somebody says, oh, hey, you got to talk to Mike. He's the guy to help you with blah, blah, blah. When that happens, they're going to click on your name and they're going to look at your profile. They're going to do a little bit of stalking here. They're going to find out what you're about, who you are, all of those kind of things. And so you want to make sure that your profile is there, that it doesn't have a bunch of junk on there, and that it doesn't have to be like super professional. It can still have your family and all that kind of stuff, but you want to make sure like your business is there. It's linked to your page. If you've got a website or a YouTube channel or Instagram or whatever it is, that all of those things are linked, and that there's some way for them to like reach out. You want them to be able to message you. You want them to come to you in Messenger. So you want to have that available, and you just want them to be able to scope you out, see what you're about, find your content wherever it may be, and be able to look at it and find out pretty quickly, like, you help people do this thing to achieve this other thing, right? That's what you want to do. So make sure your profile is optimized in that way. So now that you got your profile optimized, it's time to go find your groups and become an incredibly valuable and engaged member of those communities. That way people have a reason to click on your profile and find out more about you, all right? So the way we're going to do this is you want to find groups where your ideal clients hang out. Where are they going to get help, or where are they gathering as a community to support each other. And you want to join those communities and become an active member. And when you go in there, what you want to do is you don't want to go in there and start posting and being spammy. You've probably seen this, right? Where like the person drops this big value post and it's just like, this person is just trying to sell me. Like, this is not helpful. That's not what you want to do. You generally just want to help as many people as possible and trust that it is going to come back to you tenfold. And the number one way to do this, in my opinion, is be on the lookout for ways to enter the conversation. And part of that is when an opportunity comes up and somebody posts and you have the expertise, leave the best comment possible. Write a book for them, or record using loom.com an amazing video where you record your screen and their post and then you just talk for 5 to 10 minutes and get really in depth and just help them like crazy, because then everybody else on that thread is going to watch that too and they're going to be like, whoa, this person knows something. That was awesome. And a lot of times just that act of responding like really in depth and better than anybody else is going to lead to a bunch of people reaching out to you in Messenger and wanting to talk to you. And that starts conversations in and of itself. And you know those people are there because like how many times have you seen a post and other people want to know and so they go following or they write an F or whatever. It's kind of, you know, like that happens because if one person has a question, 10 people have a question. So when you are putting the time in to write an incredible response for that one person, what you're really doing is you're creating valuable content for 10, 20 other people. And they go, it's just like a fishing reel, right? Like it brings them right into you, but without that spamminess because they're coming to you. So that's the main way that I recommend to really get involved. And then over time, when you start to get that reputation as somebody that really brings value in the comments, then you can start posting occasionally, but really make it helpful. Pick one thing, write about it, give the steps. Like, don't be afraid to give it all away because people, as a course creator, they're paying you for implementation, not information. So give something really good and valuable that people go nuts about and start sharing, but ease your way into that. Another thing that you want to do is just find ways to be a participant. Ask questions yourself, like drop gifts, like leave jokes, like whatever the conversation is. If it's not relevant to your topic, that doesn't mean that you can't take that opportunity to chime in and become an active member of that community, because that's your goal at the end of the day. And if you do this enough, what starts to happen is the people that you help and the people that are watching and paying attention to your responses and your engagement, they start to figure out what you're about and that you're a smart cookie that can help a lot of people. And then they start tagging you. And this is where it gets really cool, because you go from having to actively look at a group and figure out like how to chime in and putting time into that every day to where people just go, oh, you need to talk to Mike. He's the guy, like the guy that can help you with blah, 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 blah. And then everybody's clicking on your name, looking at your profile, right? And you're getting those notifications and you can jump in and be like, yeah, I can help you. You want to hop on a chat or something? And now you've moved them into your inbox or onto a call or whatever. And that's your sales opportunity, right? So that's how this starts to grow. Now, the other thing, I talked about the network. When you're in these groups, try to connect with other people, right? You want to be building your network and look for partnership opportunities. Look for those people that work with the same people and see if you can come up with an arrangement with them. But like, you have to build a relationship first. And one of the best things that I did in my career is as I started to get to know those people, I started doing free trainings for their communities, for their coaching students in their courses or whatever it is that they did. And that allowed another way. I could drop like a really great 1-hour webinar and that would bring people into my world. Or even better, if they needed somebody to coach on something. I did this all the time, right? They're like, man, we build these funnels or we do this, that, and the other, but like we need some basic help to answer people's Facebook questions. And I would be like, yeah, sure, I would do that. And I would go and spend a little bit of my time every month in their community doing a call, and I'd be helping those people. And inevitably, when those people were looking to hire a Facebook ad agency, they would hire me. Or in other cases, when they were looking for help with the thing that my course or program solved, they would come and buy from me. And that becomes an incredible, incredible way to get really loyal buyers that are already 100% bought in, and they'll pay high prices because you're the only person they want to work with. The second method to start generating leads for your business and create conversations is start a YouTube channel. Start creating intent-based YouTube videos. I'm a big believer on this. This is something that I wish I had done much earlier in my career because although I was in the groups and I did do the third tip I'm going to give you in a second, I really was not a big content producer. And I had my reasons. When I started out, I was in law school, didn't have a lot of time. Then I was a stay-at-home dad while working as an attorney and trying to grow the business. Like, I had a lot of stuff going on. But man, I wish I had taken the time to create content. And YouTube is the perfect platform because with YouTube, you can answer specific questions that your ideal client has. And those things can start to rank in search and they can start to get suggested by YouTube. And so what ends up happening is every time you create a video, you've created an asset in your business. You've created an employee that brings in views, subscribers, builds your email list, and creates buyers for years. It's insane. And you just have to create it once, do one a week, and let it build over time. But it also becomes a huge asset in your business because when you're having conversations with people or you're hanging out in a group and they ask a question, and you've got a video on that topic, you can say, hey, check this out. This is perfect. It's going to help you. And now you have this long form, well thought out, well designed training that's going to help them solve their problem. It's going to make them a huge fan of yours, and it's going to make them come to you asking like, what's the next step? And even if they don't, they become one of those honeybees that starts going, next time someone asks, they go, oh, Mike helped me with this. That dude is a freaking rock star. You got to check out his YouTube channel or you need to talk to him, right? And that's where you start getting those inbound leads. So get started on YouTube. Use that to start growing your audience and do it by answering specific questions that your ideal clients want to know about. Finally, and this is something I did in my business that I'm so glad I did, start running Facebook ads to bring leads in and create conversations in your business from day one. And I think this is so important because people are scared to death of running paid traffic when they're first starting out. It's really weird. We start this entrepreneurship journey and we want to bootstrap anything and we're not willing to invest any money into it, which is crazy when you think about it. Because if you started a brick and mortar business, like you would be getting these huge loans and you would be doing this, that, and the other, and like getting all of this money or putting all this money and time of your own into this thing that may or may not work out. And we don't have most of those startup costs as online business owners, especially as course creators. So set aside some budget, have an investor mindset and say, even if it's just $5 a day, right? Just say, I'm going to set aside $500 every month to grow my audience and bring people in with paid traffic and learn how to drive people with ads to whatever it is that I use to convert them into sales. And guess what? You're probably not going to make money right away. But if you're just like, no, I'm going to spend this $500. This is a line item in my budget and I may lose it, but I'm putting it in. It's growing my list. I'm going to make money down the line. And if you do that from day one, you're going to start learning how to convert with paid traffic. And then it's going to become very profitable. And you're going to be at a huge competitive advantage to everybody else that's starting at the same point as you right now that's afraid to run ads. So now we've talked about how conversations are how we're converting people to sales, and we've learned 3 different ways that we can bring those conversations in. Now I want to show you what you actually say and how you make those conversions into sales, all right? So let's get into it. There's 2 big things that you need to find out when you're having a conversation with somebody, whether it's via SMS or email or in Messenger. First, you want to find out, where are they stuck? Where are they today? And kind of like, what's the implication of being there and that not changing and them not getting to where they want to go, right? And then that's the next piece. We want to know, where are they trying to go? Why have they not been able to get there in the past? What's getting in their way? What obstacles did they keep running up into? You want to find this information because when you're having a conversation with somebody, there's 2 things that are going on. The first is that you want to find out, like, is this person an ideal prospect for me? Like, do I want to work with them? Can I even help them? Because one of the worst things that can happen is you sell somebody into your product and it's not a good fit and you can't help them. And now you've got somebody with a bad experience and you've either wasted a lot of time and had to refund them, or you have somebody that's bitter that's pulling down your reputation. You don't want that. right? So we got to find out, are they a good fit? But also, if they are, we want to know where they are and where they want to be, and we want to stretch that as far as possible, right? So that they feel like they can't do it on their own, and that your solution, when you present it, is the bridge that gets them there and brings it closer together. So that way they feel like it is possible to get there, and they can get there faster with your help. So the way that we're going to do that, I've got a little bit of a script for you, and we're going to lead with value, okay? And that's, you notice the theme here? Like, we want to help as many people as possible. So when we have conversations in this script, we want to lead with value. And this goes back to that YouTube thing. Like, if you're creating helpful YouTube videos, you're creating this content, then you're going to be able to use this content to move people through the sales process. So let's pretend that somebody is in your DMs, right? Whether that's on Instagram, Messenger, or what have you, all right? And you're talking to them and you're finding out what their problem is, and you want to get them basically onto a call so you can sell them their program. So the first thing you want to do once they reach out to you is say, hey, great, I just, I want to find out a little bit more about you to see if I can help you and, send you some resources. Oh, yeah, that sounds great. Okay, so we're talking about, I'm going to ask you some questions so I can send you some resources, okay? And that's going to be like the YouTube video. So then what you want to do is you want to start asking those questions. You want to get into like, where are you at? What's your goal? What's stopping you from getting there? And get to a point where you kind of have a general idea of what their biggest problem is and whether you can help them. And then if you can help them, what you want to do is you want to say, cool, this is great. I have a great video that I want to send you that I think is going to help you get from here to here. What's the best email to send that to? Okay, real important step here. So you're going to get that email from, you say, great, okay, I'm going to send this over to you a little bit later. But in the meantime, like, it's a great video. It's going to help you, but it's not the end all be all that you need to get where you want to go. So do you have a little bit of time that we can like hop on Zoom, chat a little further about where you're at and like the frameworks that you need to put in place to get there? You say, yeah, that's great. Okay, great. And now you're going to find that time to talk with them. And what's great is you already got that email. So in your little calendar scheduler, whether you use Calendly or Schedule Once or whatever, you're going to be able to put that email in, settle on the time. You're going to pop it into your calendar. It's going to send them the invite. You're going to be like, cool, did you get that invite? Okay, got it. Great. Really looking forward to meeting with you tomorrow. I'm going to go ahead and send that video over to you here in a little bit. But like, is there anything else that you want to talk about when we get on the call? Like, what else do you need help with? And they might list out some other things. Right? And this is great because you can send them more resources, or I don't generally do that. I just go, okay, awesome. We'll dive into that tomorrow. I'm really looking forward to talking to you. Yeah, me too. All right, man. Anything else? I got to go, hang out, take my kids to school, whatever it is. Like, you got to get out. No, man, I'm good. Okay, cool. I'll see you tomorrow. And then you just want to follow up with them, make sure they get there. But most of the time they are going to get there. And you want to follow through on the first promise you made and send them that video. Because when you do, now there's this reciprocity. You've already helped them. Now you send them this resource. And now they're going to feel like they need to show up. It's also going to make them more likely to buy because we have this like urge as humans that when somebody gives to us, we want to give back. We want to get even. We don't want to be in debt to people, right? And that's really powerful. But also, if they watch that video and it really helps them and it makes them like you more, they're going to have more trust getting onto that call and are going to be much easier to sell into your programs, right? So that's kind of the script that we use and how we pull that content that we were using to generate traffic to begin with to lead with value and naturally send somebody into a sales conversation. Now, prepare to see this. I'm just laughing because you're going to see this conversation thing in action because everything, all these pillars we talked about today, they're so important. Like, this is the framework for getting sales for your online course when you don't have a following. But if you want to know what I would do if I were starting from scratch and have like the actual business plan that I would use, I really encourage you to watch this next video. It's going to go even deeper into some of the stuff that we started to talk to you about today and help you be more successful in growing that online course business from scratch.